Hello everyone, this is another video about supplements and supplementation when it comes to your diet or your raw food diet or whatever. And there's kind of an idea among people, if they go vegan, if they go raw vegan, sometimes people assume that they are going to be missing out on something because they're cutting out major food groups and therefore they need to worry about supplementation. And obviously supplementation means adding things into your diet to supplement your diet, and the idea being that the diet is therefore deficient in these certain things that you need. So a little bit of basic human nutrition. Human beings cannot live on water or air alone. We, like all other animals, consume food. It's one of our major drives. It's what we do. It's what a lot of our anatomy is designed particularly for. And human beings are frugivores, so we're fruit eaters. And we're designed to eat fruit, tender leaves, tender vegetables. And in the modern world, people have learned how to cook and prepare all sorts of different plants and life forms to be palatable for human consumption, relatively safe for human consumption, and to be physically possible for us to eat these things. Because a lot of the things in your diet and in many people's diets, we cannot physically eat them without them being cooked and prepared in particular ways, and many things would just be difficult to eat, many things would be kind of disgusting to eat. So we have to prepare, process, flavour different things in order to make it possible for our anatomy to some degree digest them. With fruits and tender vegetables, we don't have a problem because that's what our anatomy is designed for, and it's just basic engineering, basic mechanics, basic biomechanics, or whatever you want to call it, that kind of predict that. So human beings are frugivores, and we are designed to get our nutrition from fruit and maybe from tender vegetables as well and other things. But primarily fruit is also provides us with the food that we require, provides us with the water we need, provides us with the fibre that we need, provides us with the carbohydrates, the fats, the proteins, the vitamins, the minerals, and many other nutrients. Many vegans are suggested to take, we'll get to that in a second, but so fruit, and any kind of fruit, has all of the components that we require for our diet. The thing that most people get wrong in a raw food diet is they don't eat enough fruit. They don't eat enough calories of fruit, not just about quantity. And that's something that people really struggle with, and it's usually one of the main reasons that people stop doing the diet, because they don't learn how to do that fully. And the second big reason is they can't break the addictions and cravings to cooked food that even arise when you've eaten enough fruit for a while, until you break that habit. So those are the two major reasons that people fail in a raw diet. Some people like to suggest that deficiency is another reason, and deficiency is not the reason that people fail in a raw food diet. It's way more to do with not eating enough and cravings for cooked foods that people don't get over, that make them go back to cooked food. So that's the two main reasons. That's the only two reasons I've ever really seen that have been, and they're kind of linked anyway. So, but in terms of deficiency, so human beings require food, otherwise we become deficient in calories, and then we have to eat our own body tissue, and eventually that would die because we've got a limited amount of body tissue. So we have to replenish that with food, and we have certain metabolic events, phenomena that go on in our body that require specific types of nutrition, specific molecules, vitamins, and also require some of the minerals in order to action those particular metabolic functions. Luckily enough, those minerals and those vitamins basically are so abundant across not just fruit, but across all foods. It's basically the things that living things have in them, various minerals and various vitamins. We also require sunlight to create vitamin D, but that's basically a no-brainer. If you get out into the sun, you get that. Now, vitamins and minerals are required in fairly small amounts, very, very small amounts. And that's why it's very rare for anyone to ever have a vitamin deficiency or a mineral deficiency. It's incredibly rare. Even in the modern world where people eat such terrible diets, we're still not seeing people having vitamin or mineral deficiencies. Now, vitamins would be affected by heat, so you would expect with the fact that people eat so much cooked food that diminishes the amount of vitamins in those foods even more, and yet people still get enough. They still get enough vitamins. Many people who don't eat fruits and vegetables. Now, you could make the argument that they don't eat enough vitamins to be incredibly healthy or whatever, but they're not eating so little that they're starting to get deficiency problems and conditions. So supplementation is not something that they require. They need to change their diet and have a healthier diet. So we require vitamins and minerals and all these things, but in very small amounts. This isn't something we need to be incredibly worried about. Looking into the areas in which, for example, if you go to whatever the medical board is in your country, we look at the NHS in the UK, National Health Service, look at different charities, you can look at different major organisations involved in health and what they talk about with, and when they talk about supplementation is not something that they ever really spend much time talking about, because they know full well that people, as long as you eat a balanced, varied diet, that you're able to get all of these nutrients in the adequate amounts. There's no worries. People aren't going into the doctors every day with deficiencies. They don't exist anymore. In some countries, potentially, but in the modern world, these deficiencies are just not happening. Now, it's a different conversation to say that people are suffering because the diet is wrong. Yes, but could you eat a bad diet and supplement, and would that sort you out? No, it wouldn't. Supplements, vitamins, minerals there's very, very, very little evidence about them having any benefit to anyone. About vitamins, a multivitamin, mineral supplements, there's very, very scant little. There's basically nothing, and there's evidence suggesting the other way, that it doesn't have any benefit to people. The benefit to people in terms of nutrition comes from a better diet. It comes from eating more fruits and vegetables. And when they've tested the nutrients and the vitamins and minerals that people get more from fruits and vegetables, they've found that eating more fruits and vegetables is far more beneficial to people than taking those in the form of a supplement. Now, of course, if you were literally deficient in that nutrient, then any way you could get it in would be good. But the best way would always be changing your diet. Now, there's a few scenarios in which that might change, and for vegans, B12 is something that is suggested across the board. So it would be quite sensible to take B12. There'd be no problem with it. Personally, I've not taken it. I'm not telling you to do it, but it's not something I've taken, but it's not something I'm against taking. It's something I just don't think about, and as I said, I'm not against the idea of taking it. I just haven't. Vitamin D is something that is across the board something that people are concerned about a little bit in terms of the nutrition boards and experts. So they do sometimes suggest that people, especially who aren't getting enough sunlight, would take vitamin D, and that would make sense. In fact, I believe children, very young children, are often given vitamin D in the first few years of life, and I think sometimes pregnant women maybe as well. But it's kind of for countries like this where there's not as much sunlight, vitamin D is across the board a little bit of an issue there, something worth checking into. But I would suggest that with any of these deficiencies, you would maybe speak to a doctor, because there's more to it than just, oh, you didn't have enough of that in your diet. That's not the whole picture. There's, have you damaged your body in the past? Have you had medication in the past that's had an influence? Are you taking medication now that's having an influence? Is stress an influence? There's a lot of different things. Are you getting enough sleep? Is that an influence? Have you had an operation in the past where parts of your body have been removed or damaged or whatever? Like, there's so many things to it, and it's very unlikely that you're just not eating enough in your diet for many of these nutrients. So I would suggest, if you're really concerned about it, medical help might be a suggestion to diagnose whether you have a deficiency or a deficiency condition. Otherwise, you might just be tired, stressed, a number of other things that people suffer from, and often connect that with deficiency. Where would be some other situations that deficiencies might arise? Well, if you look historically, we're talking about situations in which people didn't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. We're talking about sailors on ships. We're talking about certain populations that were only eating food from a particular population, had no access to other food, and had a very limited amount of food, and weren't preparing it in the right way. And that happened in Japan, happened in the US with pellagra and beriberi, eating just polished rice and eating corn. So cooked, so you're damaging nutrients doing that. In those situations, people develop major deficiencies. But in the modern world, do you see any deficiencies? Have you had any friends of yours saying, oh, I got scurvy recently? You know, it's not happening. And the NHS is well aware of that, the doctors are well aware of that, and their suggestion is that vitamins, minerals, all these supplements are not really effective. They don't really do anything. Not good for anyone. So there's no reason for you to take any supplements unless medically you are told to do so and then supervised in that process. The thing about you just deciding to take supplements, whatever it is you're also you're training your body to take in those quantities of that particular supplement, of that particular nutrient. So you're basically saying, okay, I'm going to load you with a massive amount. Your body's going to train itself to deal with that. Then if you ever take that away, the body can't deal with the normal levels. So there's issues there. There's issues here. So nutritional supplementation of supplements, of like vitamins, minerals, this is in the alternative medical community. This is not in natural hygiene. This is not in hygiene, the science of health. This is an alternative medicine, aka quackery, aka stuff that's never been proven to work, doesn't have any science behind it. So if someone recommends that you take supplements just off the bat with no information about you, doesn't really know you, they don't have any medical qualifications, they've not checked all your medical records, different things like that, that's really irresponsible, in my opinion. And I don't know why people are trying to play doctor in the raw food movement. You know, don't try and play doctor. I know there's people that are doctors, but it's unlikely that you're seeing them as a patient in their office, you know. So people need to stop playing doctor and willy-nilly prescribing solutions to problems they don't even know if it really exists or not, if the person really has that problem. Because without the ability to diagnose people, having all their medical history, having all that information, you cannot go there. So that's why when I ever coach people or help people, I do not deal with supplements. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not looking into your blood work. I'm not doing any of that. because your issues are very incredibly unlikely to be anything to do with that. And if they are, your first point of call is a doctor, not a raw food person that helps you with a raw food diet. So that's really all of my thoughts on supplementation and stuff like that. You can look at certain reports that have been written on supplements. No value has been found. The interesting thing as well is when supplements come to the marketplace, they go under certain different regulations. And if it is in medicine goes under a particular thing. So you can't just start a company selling medication, right? Obviously you're not allowed to do that. It needs to be prescribed to people, it's controlled, because medication has particular impact on the body. It has a particular active ingredient. It has an active ingredient that has a particular effect. And only doctors can generally prescribe those. And even with qualified doctors, things go wrong all the time with prescription of medication. So it's a very kind of dangerous thing. It's regulated. Then we have herbal things, and some of those have active ingredients, and some of those are in the same bracket. They have to be very tightly regulated in terms of the marketing of them, the selling of them. Then we also have some that are just called food, that are basically it's just food, and it's classified as food, so it only goes under the Food Safety Act. So it just has to be safe along with other food, because it's just food. And that's what a lot of the multivitamins and all these supplements and things go under. They're just like food. But they can't claim to heal anything, solve anything, cure anything, add anything, nothing. There's no research behind them. It's just food. So I would suggest, if you want to eat food, not supplements. Eat the real stuff. That's where you get your nutrition. When people are trying to tell you that there's more nutrition, that you need supplements to supplement the healthy food you're eating, they're way off the page. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope that's been of some help to you, and we'll see you in another video.